Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and today we're here with the 2021 GMC Yukon Denali. Let's hop in and get behind the wheel. Quick walk around and summary of this model. This is the Denali Ultimate. Shorter one, so it's like the Chevy Tahoe in terms of size, but it's rocking the 3-liter Duramax diesel engine. And this powertrain is a sweetheart. We've got some more content on the Denali as well. We've got a review of its 14-speaker Bose audio system, as well as a highway fuel economy test, where it did quite well. Popping in, taking a look around the inside. You get the camera to settle down here. The Denali, you got this beautiful wood trim along with this nice brown color. I really dig it. I think this thing is pretty darn nice inside. Now I should say we're also coming in at just over $82,000. So this thing is a spicy meatball when it comes to price. So we're going to kind of ignore price for the rest of the video, mostly because we can't say where you're at in life. We need to tell you what this car is like, and then let you decide if financially you can make it work. Plus, you never know what sort of rebates people are eligible for. They might throw $5,000 on the hood of this thing in the future. So spec one out as you might, but looking at this top dog, things are pretty darn nice. Get these windows closed. Fairly standard gauge cluster here. I can definitely see why somebody might want the Escalade for the much more futuristic seeming instrument cluster and infotainment screen, but Chevy and GMC have some of the best infotainments. So even though this thing looks a lot more simple, it's responsive, it's large. Take a look at this navigation, works really well. Look at that. Super good refresh rate. You got wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, as well as wireless device charging. Pretty darn good setup. Now, something that is kind of strange with the Yukon, the shifter, you gotta stick your finger in here and pull out for drive, but I actually really appreciate it. I like that it's nicely just set into the dash, doesn't take up valuable real estate here in the center. My goodness, is this 3-liter diesel just right for commuting. Makes the same 460 pound-feet of torque as the 6.2-liter V8 that you can get in the Denali, but it's a little bit cheaper. It also makes less horsepower, something down around 277. But we got 28 miles per gallon cruising at 70 miles per hour on the highway, and that is really good for something of this size. It's a fairly quiet diesel, drives nice and smooth. It would definitely be my engine of choice. The other thing I've really appreciated driving the Yukon around is how simple the controls are. Like I said earlier, that shifter is really easy to use, but even like this climate control area, it's very straightforward laid out. It's dual zone, super easy to use, very straightforward. Volume knobs right here, track selection. It's not a difficult vehicle to get used to. It's been a while since I've spent time in the Ford Expedition, but I would be inclined to take this over one of those. Getting up to speed, you can hear, just don't hear much of that engine. In fact, the loudest thing we found on the highway and driving this thing around in general is wind and tire noise. In terms of ride comfort, it's still a body-on-frame truck, so you've got the shutters through the cabin. That shouldn't be too much of a surprise, but it takes the bigger bumps well, and it rides like a truck. No big surprise there. Definitely not going to get the quality and comfort of a unibody crossover. This is a sport utility vehicle in the more dated sense of the term. I do find it surprising that GM completely redesigned this body and these models, the Yukon and the Chevy Suburban and Tahoe and the Escalade, yet don't really have too much to show for it. It isn't a revolutionary change by any means, definitely more evolutionary. Doesn't mean they're bad, it just means that when you have the opportunity to be so radically different, surprising that from the inside and the driver's seat, really not all too different. You've got a few different drive modes. You've got normal, sport, off-road, tow haul. We'll throw it into sport mode right now. Especially with the diesel, you don't get too much difference from that. Just a little more aggressive throttle mapping. Feels a little peppier, but when you step on the gas, you're getting the same amount of power. This is an air suspension though, so I wouldn't be surprised if in sport mode it tightened things up a little bit, but this thing's so large that it's going to be tough to actually feel that. Are you going to be carving corners in your Yukon? Unlikely, but 50 miles per hour on this on-ramp, no problem for this truck. Put it back into normal mode. Get up to speed. You've got adaptive cruise control, but it's also very easy to turn off, as well as a very rudimentary lane keeping assist. It'll kind of help you stay in the lanes as long as you're also steering, but it's definitely not going to steer for you, as we'll demonstrate here. Here we are between the lines, and as we come up to the edge, I mean, there's no holding whatsoever. In fact, I don't even think it's registering that we're running in between these two lines now. So, GM's got a little ways to go to catch up with the other brands, although Cadillac Super Cruise works really, really well. So it's about time we see that feature start to trickle down to some of the other General Motors brands. For as much hype as these vehicles get, really not all too much to talk about with them. It just drives like a car that you're not expected to worry about. And that's kind of the point of these larger family haulers. Is anyone's supposed to be able to get behind the wheel, whether you're a 6'7" dad or a small 5'2" mother. Get behind the wheel and drive to where you're going, whether it's towing or camping or soccer practice or the grocery store. It shouldn't matter. You should be able to get behind the wheel and be comfortable. And it does a really good job at that. Now, do you need the top spec Denali trim? I don't think you're getting all that many gizmos, gadgets, and features to justify the price. But if you really want to have that top trim Yukon, then hey, get ready to shell out. I will say, as long as you can do without the fanciness of the driver's seat in the Escalade, this is a better deal than paying well over 6 figures for the Cadillac. So there's a little behind the wheel take of the 21 GMC Yukon. I actually kind of like this thing. I could see myself being interested in it if I were in the market, but certainly not something I would actually see myself needing, as I'm a little more of a do more with less sort of person. But hey, I love the diesel. This is probably my favorite example of one of these new GM trucks that I've driven. About to take a quick look at the engine. There it is, a little 3-liter Duramax diesel, looking pretty tiny in this engine bay, considering the larger engine option is more than twice its size. But it gets the job done. Thank you all so much for watching. If you want to see more on the Yukon, check the links in the description for our highway fuel economy test and our sound system review. And we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.